Greetings, everyone. Greetings. Hello, Heather. Hello there. We've got greetings, everyone. Greetings. Hello.
Sorry, Grant, I muted you.
I was enjoying listening back to it again. Like we were caught in a time warp, and we had a good 20 seconds of listening back to the live stream again. Anyway, it's off now. It's under control. Not in my normal setup of having to do one of these pesky in-person events. They happen from time to time. Thankfully, they're phasing out for me, but this is one I couldn't get out of. So we are here. I think Blue's going to join us as well at some point. But have we got some questions in there already, Heather?
Yeah, we have a couple that are in so far. You want me to hop on and get started with those?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so the first one is from Jeff. He says, "Hello, I was playing around with the sponsors page, trying to turn it into a help desk, and I ran into a problem. I created a form for asking questions, and I added it to one of the sponsors, but it didn't show up. Any idea as to why?"
Can you repeat it? I want to follow that through.
Okay, so she had a sponsors page and she was trying to turn into like a help desk kind of page instead.
Okay.
But she created a form so that people could ask questions, um,
Mm-hmm.
and tried to add it to one of the sponsors on that
I
sponsors, but it didn't show up.
okay. Um, what template is this on? What theme are we using? Do you know? This was Sarah, is it?
I unmuted you, Clara, if you want to just talk. It's up to you.
Oh, it's in classic. Okay. Maybe we have a look at it. Fix this.
Graham, do you need the event name or do you know which one it would be?
Oh, yeah. What is the event name? Do we know what the event name is?
I think she's typing it.
Okay, cool. It could be office hours or virtual 3-day summit. I'm going to guess that one. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Yep. Virtual. Yep. All right. Looking now. All right. I can share this in a second. I'll see. Okay. Here we go. Hello, everyone. Just joining us. You must be thinking, Grant is deep in thought. That's kind of what's happened. We're just having a look at this first question. So, Sarah, when you can add a button and then do that and that. Okay. You can do a button and then add the form, ask a question. So as far as putting the form in line on a page like that, is not possible on the sponsor page if you're sort of reworking that. So yeah, FAQ. Are you using the FAQ page? Yep. So that arguably you could possibly put, frequently asked questions. Do you have more questions? Yeah. You could. Actually, maybe you can't. It's probably why you've done it. Oops, sorry, why I did that. I was thinking about inputting a button. No, that's right. We can't do that on there. So on the sponsors page, yeah, you could do a button that is ask a question and have that point to the form ask a question. Or of course you can have it back on the dashboard and you could have the form either in line or have it as a pop-up, so that it pops up there. Let me get back to seeing you. See if I'm covering that off. Yeah. Form help desk. Okay. So yeah, we were also talking, Sarah, about help desks as often being a separate Zoom area where you can have people that you have someone, your like support team are sitting in that Zoom meeting, and then people can click on the help desk button and it takes them into Zoom, and then you can talk with them. It's kind of like going to a registration desk. The ask a question feature, obviously, like how we're using it on this event, is more of those live questions about the show. But help questions, I don't know. I haven't thought of it as using for immediate help that people might need. Where we have seen people use other things is like a chat system that you use. So someone was asking on Facebook this week about which chat systems to use. So there's like livechat.com and zendesk.com, and there's a bunch of these different systems that you can use for that type of one-on-one chat. The chat system that we use in Obvio in the back end, when you go there and you see that little bottom left, there's a little chat, that's livechat.com. And you can put that on, you can sign up for your own account, and then you could add that to your dashboard. And that's an effective way to do live help with people. And so I'd be thinking about those sorts of systems that might be better than using a form, say. So, cool. Next question.
So the next one is also from Sarah/Jeff. They had a couple of test attendees that received points, and they've deleted those attendees, but they need to clear the leaderboard points. Can you show her where you clear that?
Yeah, let's go. Sorry, I haven't got my head in gear today, and I've got messages coming in and all sorts of things happening, but I'm determined. I am determined. What I'm thinking about is the points. Here we go. All right. Let me show you here, Sarah. So attendees, points, and then you've got a couple of options there. Clear the leaderboard. You can also go into individual attendees before you delete them. If they're not deleted, you can go in and you can delete points for people, for individuals. But yeah, you can hit the clear leaderboard there to start again. Cool. All right.
So the next one is from Jenny. I have a 3-day event with 15 people starting May 3rd. I set up an Obvio event, but I'm getting cold feet. I've heard about breakout rooms being difficult. Is there a checklist somewhere on what to do for your first event? Should I just use Zoom?
So I'm sorry about the cold feet. There's definitely an aspect of having to just dive in and do it, and you'll learn on an event. To think about the differences between using Zoom or using Obvio is really thinking about how your attendees get into Zoom. Like once you've started the Zoom meeting from Obvio, there is very little difference to what it would be if you were to use your own Zoom account. So now all you're thinking about really is what's the experience or the flow of people getting into your event, and the advantage of having that dashboard that just has a home for your event before, during, and after your event, right? Like it's straight away what happens is you define this event as different to another boring business meeting that people get these Zoom invitations every day. This is already something different. And so they've got a more customized email, possibly a personalized email that goes to a personalized dashboard, or at least something that's a little bit different. And there you could have access to some resources, some PDFs, or has a video of you as an introduction or something, but just something that's different. So the moment people are receiving that email and then getting, and then clicking on it on the day, the experience is different. And I think that's really helpful, particularly post-event. You can send people back to that dashboard as well. They're already familiar with that. Come back to the same link that you click to join the event, and you'll get access to it. To answer your question specifically, there is not a checklist, and that's a good idea, of things to think about. There is, like earlier this year, I sort of did a walkthrough of the whole platform, just kind of a 40-minute thing that was just like, this is all the things, and you can kind of think about. But that could be overwhelming for you as well, because you don't need to, know everything. It could be that this is not the event to do it, right? Like this is not the first one to do, right? So that's a choice for you.
Could I just spend
Yeah.
30 seconds asking you to look at my site and see how,
Yeah.
I don't even know how to get a register link button. Like I want them to register today or tomorrow morning.
Okay. All
Where
right.
do you go to create the, hey, register here link, get yourself in there?
Okay. Yeah.
Or is there a, here, let me show you what I can't share. It's free to lead. I don't know if you can look at it, but I can't share my screen.
Yeah, I can.
That's not.
Freely. Got it. I've got it. Let's have a look.
And primarily what I think was so beautiful is my experience on, it was a Barium Blues event, was just phenomenal. This is, they're experts, right? They're pros. And I want to include a button that says, I'm ready to sign up for the program. I think that's the main thing. And then do you create that?
So
go ahead.
So are you looking to get people to the event and how they register to get the dashboard link, or are you saying about your?
Yeah, okay. That was the first question.
Okay. So first of all, the dashboard looks great.
Thank you.
You obviously already spent, you've spent some.
Yeah, I can design. I just don't know how to get the right parts now. I'm like scared.
Okay, well, I'm sure there's other people on this call that are like, I can't design. And, it's like, So you're already a step ahead. As far as you want people to be able to go to a link, basically put their first name, last name, email in, and then be on the
So
dashboard,
I've got
right?
people already paid. I already have their emails. Do I enter it
Oh,
or do
okay.
they enter it?
I'm sorry, say that last bit again.
Oh, so someone when I signed up for my first Obvio experience, they said here, you already paid your 197. It's time for you to pre-check-in to get into the dashboard so you can use this dashboard during our event. So do I put in everyone's emails and say, here you go, or do they put in their emails to be able to access the event?
So the difference really is if they've paid or not, right?
They all paid.
And so, yeah. So if you've got paying attendees, then the best way is for you to import the attendees.
Oh, good.
Right. So just
okay.
attendee tools, import, and you'll point that to a file that really just needs first name, last name, email.
Okay.
And then is there any other data that you would like to be able to access about the people, or is it, I mean, they're all just kind of the same and it's fine, you just need them to get access?
I don't need any other data yet. Some of them are already members in my group program, some are brand new, but they each purchase the next level up.
Okay, great. So first name, last name, email, you'll get them into here. Okay, and then there's a couple of different ways, but the best way would be to send them an email directly from Obvio.
Yes.
Heather, can we add?
Thank you, Richard. It's very encouraging. Just your nods. Never mind. Okay. So send them from Obvio.
Can we add the communications to this one?
Yes, I'm adding it now. And then also I put in the CSV template so you can have that just to start with to add the attendees into that. It's in the chat.
There you go. Perfect. First name, last name, email. You just get that in that order, and then you can import. Of course, you can add attendees manually as well. Like you can just add them manually, but if you've got a few to do, then the import's easier. Manual is
fine. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And then what we'll do is we're just turning on the broadcast setup so that you can send emails directly from this account. So what you'll need to do is go to your organization settings, which you can actually see when you're up in here. But when you're looking at your events here, you'll see, I'm not the owner, so I can't see it here, but you'll see organization settings. What you'll do there is put in an email address that you would like to send from, or kind of set to be the reply to address.
Yes.
So that might be a support or a whatever, somewhere that people could reply to. And when you set that up, you can then do
I just did that. So my name, Bamboo Myth. Okay.
Awesome. Great.
Email already exists. Okay, that's nice. Why does it say pending?
So then you're going to get an email to verify that. So it'll send an email to that email address.
Got it.
And you just have to click a little button in that, and that'll trigger that off and make that work.
Yep, got that.
Cool. And then when you're in broadcasts, all you're going to do is set up a simple email that sends people their link. And the nice thing about this is that they don't have to put in their name or email or passwords or anything. They just click a link, and away it goes. So if you see this, and remember that the reason that this call is being live streamed to YouTube is for recording. And that's the reason that we do it, to make it really easy for you to go back and catch anything you might have missed that we're doing on this call. That YouTube video is available straight away. And that's the reason that we do the live streams on YouTube.
Gotcha.
So if you miss anything, then you can check it there. But essentially, all you're doing is you're putting an internal name for your email that you're sending out, and then you'll choose the address that you've verified. That'll come up in there, and then it's a simple email subject and the body. So then you can do things like hi, and put here first name. Here is
Broadcast. Okay.
your access, right?
Nice.
I do things like this: the dashboard, dashboard, and you can do a link to login. So that then automatically puts in
Names.
Yes, there we go. Sorry, it puts in the direct link to the dashboard for the people, and so now that can also be a button, and so you can
Got it.
you can change the button, right? So, and with the design skill you'll have lots of fun with this. You can play around with that however you like. And now you can send that out to all of your attendees. And so you can say, send it to all. There's lots of filtering and things you can do here that sounds like you won't need to worry about at this point. You can send it to everyone. And then you choose when you want to send it. You schedule it. You schedule exactly when you want to send it. And when you're doing an email like this, it needs to be 5 minutes into the future. The minimum is 5 minutes into the future. So then you set that time, and while you're there, you might want to. Is it a multi-day event or?
Yeah, it's 3 days.
Yeah, awesome. So you might want to do reminders, like schedule all of the reminders, and so you can have. The event starts, day 2 starts in 30 minutes or whatever it is. And so everyone just kind of gets those reminders.
Perfect.
Right? So you can schedule all that and then it'll just happen. One thing that you could do is there is the option here, not checked in users. Now, a checked in user would be someone who hasn't been to the dashboard at all yet. And so you can, it's just something to think about. You may not want to do it for this first one, but you can do, 20 minutes into your event or 30 minutes into the start of day 1, you could send an email to not checked in users and say, day 1 started. Yeah, we're missing you.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that type of thing.
Gotcha.
So you can do those sorts of things. So I won't be able to save this because I haven't got an email in there, but you'll be able to go back and add that in. So is there a chance that you'll have sort of the last minute registrations? Is registration still open?
Yes, I'm going to do a big blast today and tomorrow.
All right. So just something to think about is there's another little feature here called welcome email, which is kind of what we were just doing, same type of thing. The difference is it's not scheduled in any way. It's as soon as an attendee is added to your system, to your event, it will send the email. And so that can be really handy, right? Particularly for those last minute ones. But even before you add everyone, if you wanted to send everyone's login today, you could enable this. You set up the email, and then all the same things that I was just doing, same buttons, logins, all that is all the same. You can set up that as a welcome email, and then if it's enabled, anytime an attendee is added, either manually or automatically in the import, or for others that are using integrations, same thing. As soon as an attendee appears there, it'll send an email out.
Awesome. So if I add
With
250 people, it just knows to send all of them right now.
Yep,
That's awesome. Thank you. Okay.
yep. So you can use that. You might want to use a combination of both, right? Where you might want to get all of your attendees in first, make sure that you're happy with all of that, schedule an email to go out, in 10, 15 minutes or something, have that all handled, and then enable your welcome email for those ad hoc ones that happen later.
Got it.
So and this is how you control it. As soon as you hit disable, then it won't send emails out when attendees are added.
Beautiful.
So yeah, you just want to step through that, and then you'll be in a good position where everyone's getting a good email that they don't have to worry about passwords and email addresses and typing anything. It'll take them straight to their dashboard.
Beautiful. Thank you. And then one last question is, I want the 12K program on day 2 at a certain time. I don't want it to be available day 1 where they go, holy crap, it's 12K, I'm leaving.
Right.
So do you build that the moment before, or can you automate it to say, hey, this page and this button is available certain time?
Yes and yes. As in, so what you can do with dashboard content when you make a blog post, I'll show you that
I was thinking
quickly.
of doing the new button area right underneath the logo.
Yeah, so
Right where
in
it says button.
in here, you've got one blog post there. If we were to add a new blog post, what you'll see here is the publish date. So
Okay.
won't appear there. Sorry, that's not right. Is Muddy on the call? He was going to pick me up if I did that. The publish date is simply how, if you want the date to appear on the screen, like on the blog post, like a traditional blog post, this is the date. Then that's the date that shows. Most of the time, it's a hidden date. What we're looking at is the rules to show from a certain time,
Oh, okay.
right,
Gotcha.
until a certain time. Now, what you can do though, and I guess that this is the caution, because one of the things we love about virtual events is that they are not restricted by time and space, which means that you don't necessarily want to have this restriction or this time that you're working to, that the bomb's about to go off, that the offer is about to hit the dashboard, and you're running late, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You're doing a laser coaching session and it's going really well, and you don't want to finish it up just because you're going to go into whatever it is, right? So the thing is, this enabled button here, right, is that you can have the whole thing set up,
Okay.
and then disable it. No one will be able to see it.
Perfect.
Have a team member lined up that you just go to the blog post, hit enabled once I announce that this is an incredible deal. It's a steal at 12 grand, rather than people thinking that it's a lot. So
Perfect.
so that's a way to do that. And yeah, I encourage you with that. We think of the reason that we have things like show from and show until is that there's more generic things that you could post, like the day 2 welcome. The day 2 welcome can appear at midnight, or it could appear at 5 a.m. or something you decide that, and you've already got it all scheduled before your event even begins, and you know that the day 2 welcome's already going to just appear automatically. So it's thinking about those sorts of things, anything that you can do before your event.
And then one last question. Thank you so much. I'm going to use it now. As a host, for me to get onto Obvio, do I just turn on my Zoom, or no? I need to register myself through Obvio to get onto the Zoom call.
So so all you're going to do is that where you've been with the dashboard editor. Let me show you here. So let's just see. you've got enter the main stage here, and you've got a Zoom area called the main event. So when we go to Zoom areas over here,
I
you've
didn't
got,
tell you yet, did I?
yeah, this is all good. This is all fine here. All you're going to do is hit open room,
Oh,
right? You click that, and then that start button will become available. You'll click that, and that will launch Zoom, and you'll be the host.
beautiful. Could you go
All
back?
right.
You went to main event and then you clicked on
The
Zoom.
Zoom areas,
Got it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Perfect.
Zoom areas, main event, and then open room
Beautiful.
and start. Now, one last very important thing,
Okay.
and that is this little toggle here, open area. When this area is closed, attendees won't be able to join. It'll say that it's offline.
No, it's good to know.
And
Thank you.
well,
Okay.
and so this is, we call this like a gate. And the nice thing, or the doors, the good thing about it is that however early you want to jump on to get Zoom going is good. So we're often doing 2 hours before our event. So we do event minus 2 hours, and we start our Zoom meetings. We get everything in. We get our team in. Everyone's all happy. We're like 20 minutes out to the event. We're like, all right, everyone happy to open the door. They're like, yep. And then we come and we click open area, and in they
Yes, but
come.
it's better than Microsoft Teams because the minute you start the meeting, everybody gets announced and like, oh no, are we starting early? No, we're not.
Right.
Go back to your room.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I am confident to do this now. This is a great, great product. I love it. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Awesome.
I'll let you know those. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Appreciate it.
And and you'll totally smash it, and I'm sure you'll be happy that you've dived in.
Yeah, I love
So,
it. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're welcome. All the best with it. All
All
right.
Our next question is from Rich. How can I use animation in my PowerPoint slides with Obvio? Is this limited or supported by Zoom?
Yeah, I think you're probably talking about using it as a virtual background. Is that the idea, that you're trying to have where Zoom can open the PowerPoint presentation? Is that right?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. What I'm using it for, when you do your PowerPoint slideshow, there's an
Yes.
animation feature where you might have to have text come up, but you want to come up at a certain time. Like as an example, we're doing our offer stack. And so we have one on the Zoom area, we logged in with one laptop just for the slideshow, and then Liz is on the other screen.
Okay.
So my question is can Zoom Obvio support the animation feature in PowerPoint? Not a video, but just the text coming in or whatever flying in.
Yeah, I mean, if you have it coming in as a separate input into Zoom, or attendee into Zoom, then anything that you're sharing from that or as a video input will totally work. So yeah, you can do as much animation as you like.
Fantastic.
You can even do swoosh sound effects if you want. You could really,
catch people's attention. I like that. I like that. Can't do I want to keep it simple, but you know what I mean.
Exactly.
It's not a carnival show.
I'm half joking, but of course you can have sound effects come in. I'm sure Jeff is all over having sound effects. Is that right, Jeff? Where you could do some dollar signs when you're doing your offer. You could have some like cha-ching sounds that are happening.
That's right.
Just see how cheesy you can make it.
Not too cheesy though, but
Exactly.
a little bit,
Yeah. That's cool.
Can I tag
like
on
that.
that a little bit, please?
Yes.
So
You can.
I was going to do a try a PowerPoint in my next master class, because normally I just yap away. And I was just going to share my screen. Is that not the good way to do it? Is there a better way to put the PowerPoint up there than sharing the screen?
Yes and no.
I have multiple computers.
Yeah.
but I don't have the ATEM.
Right. No, you don't need an ATEM to do it. I kind of, I guess I think about it as a can of worms because there's other ways of doing it that add complexity, and there's reason for doing it. As in, one of the things is I often use as a benchmark is how similar does this feel to a business meeting, and how much can I get away from it feeling like a business meeting, where it's like, now I'm just going to share my screen. Oh, hang on. Okay. Now, okay. Can everyone see that? Right. You're just like, oh man, this is another typical business meeting. And I'm just like, because you think if you were in person and you were doing that same thing, and actually, I mean, it happened in person as well, right? We've all been to those events where they're like, now I'm just going to connect my computer to the projector. That's my wrong screen. Oh, now you're seeing my dogs on my dash, my wallpaper. It was like, oh, that's my, it's just like, what is this? Because if it works big, it works small. And when you go to a TED conference, you don't have the speaker walking up with their laptop and plugging in and like having problems with it, right? So that's when I step back and say, what are we trying to achieve? What we're trying to achieve is that we know that the things are working because it's well tested. And when you transition, when you want to go to a slide, it's there. And ideally, you have someone who's assisting you to make that happen. And bang, it's there, and you trust them, and you're not questioning it. You're not asking what people can see because you know it, right? You know it's all working, and there it is. So to get to the specific question, what you can do is you can have either someone else is sharing it for you and they're following along. And I don't think that next slide is a bad thing to say. I think it works okay, but often if they know roughly what your script is or where you're going, makes it pretty obvious what the next slide is. Right. And the less slides, the better too, generally, because again, a business meeting has hundreds of slides and it's death by PowerPoint, and we don't want that, right?
Right.
There are times that particularly images and, a few words or a quote, something that comes on the screen can be really powerful and impacting. And so there's particularly images, where you're just connecting something. You're starting a story, and so you have an image that kind of sets that up, and that can be really powerful. So TED Talks are a great example of that, right? You do see slides that happen, and often they're just an image or two words, or you're right. Never are they 10 dot bullet points of paragraphs of all the text that you're reading. That's never what you see, right? Because are you asking people to listen to what you're saying, or are you asking them to read what's on the screen? That's right, because they're not going to do both well. So, and so it just gets very confusing when you're just putting slabs of text on the screen. So,
virtual events, less PowerPoints. I literally just clicked off a meeting, and he was like PowerPoint, and I'm like, oh, I haven't been doing that. Maybe I'm missing something. But this, if I'm understanding, and I go back to the virtual world, less PowerPoints, better.
Yeah, well, in person as well, I would say. But yes, that you're right. So, and this goes for all features that we show and that are possible, is that intentionally choose to do things. Don't just do it because you can or because it's there. And so this is a good example. It's like, I know I can share slides. Why do I want to share slides? Like, how does this serve my attendees better? And chances are it does, but it's not 50 slides. And And so I would say there's multiple ways of getting your slides being shared. They could be screen shared. It could be someone else, another attendee in the meeting that can make their input using OBS or whatever. They can make the slides their camera input, and now you just spotlight yourself and you spotlight that other attendee with the slides on it. And that can be really smooth, right? Because it's not taking over screens and things. It's just.
How do you spotlight somebody?
So as a host or a co-host, when you either in the participants pane, in the window with the participants list, you can hover over that and you can hit spotlight for everyone, it's called. And then you can add spotlight, so you can add another one. So spotlight is always what everybody sees. Pin, when you pin someone, is only what you see. That's always local.
So I can't see the spotlight option now because I'm not a co-host, right?
Correct.
Okay, it'll be there. Okay, perfect. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, that actually would be a much more seamless way to show the slide. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and that's how we've got an event that we're doing regularly now, once a month. And just while it's smaller, it's in one Zoom meeting. That's exactly how we're doing it. We're sharing slides in as a separate attendee, and then we add a spotlight to what they're doing, and it's great when you have a couple of team members to sort of help. And I know when you're getting all this going, it's hard to have people. I really do encourage. There's been some posting on Facebook about people helping out. I really do encourage you to, scratch the back of other people and they'll scratch yours. Sorry, that's my.
So if it was just me and I have my other computer set up and maybe I'm hiding the video and I have that slide up, I can just make it, it will already be a co-host, and then I can just spotlight it and turn the camera on, and then I'm ready to go, right? That should work like that in theory?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. Yes, sorry, I was just having a phone
That's
call.
okay. No worries.
All I was saying is the idea of having somebody else that helps with some of those Zoom things is really, really helpful.
Easier. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and so I'm saying in the Obvio Facebook group, by all means, put out, hey, I'm looking for a volunteer, like an Obvio volunteer, to help out with this event, and I'll be happy to do the same in kind for your event.
Sure.
I really encourage that because it's actually great for both. It's very helpful for both parties.
Practice.
It's great practice, and it's great to have that support. And it's very simple, particularly on small events. There's just a handful of things you want, and so like Heather reading the questions and things here. Like she's also keeping an eye on if someone unmutes accidentally, and and she's keeping an eye on the chat, and she'll keep me honest to that. And it's not a complex role, it's just not something that you should do as a host. And so just having someone else, and you could limit the scope of that. You could say, all I want you to do is just spotlight me and spotlight the person I'm talking to, and that's all I want you to worry about, or whatever it is. And they just come in, they can come in as an attendee if you want. You can just make them a co-host, and it's very simple. But I really encourage everyone to do that with the Facebook group and find people that it's going to work with, and then everyone can grow together. So and get to where you start employing people to be able to do all that for you. So cool.
Hello, Brand.
Hello, Ken. Sorry, I did see your hand raised. How are you, sir?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
I have a integration question.
Oh yes, they're my favorite questions.
So, not my favorite moment this week when I had everything configured with high level and Obvio, and then my group session starts and all my attendees are gone, and now I have to recreate everything. So I don't know what happened, why it disconnected automatically. And so I'm just wondering, is this a known bug, or is there a best practices to make sure it doesn't happen? And I just did a test again while we're on the call here. I created a Mr. Grand White account, tagged it with the proper Obvio tag, and it's not being pulled into my Obvio dashboard. So I'm a little bit at a loss why it is not properly communicating, or if there's anything that needs to be done.
Yes. So there's been a change, a significant change that we've made to the scaling of how attendees are stored and the way that we get our data back out to make the whole thing faster. What has happened, and often is the case with these sorts of things, is that it's not just one thing, but there's been a couple of things, and high level has changed a couple of things, and the way that it syncs has been, and so we're keeping up with them in some of the changes that have happened, as well as there's some changes that we have made, and so the coming together of those. What I would be confident in saying is that the experience that you had was isolated to a time where we're working on these fixes, and I know that that's not very comforting, particularly when you're going into an event. But we, I guess it's very unusual to have an integration delete attendees from Obvio. And so what's more likely there is that something with the syncing got out of sync right at that moment, and that's where the problem occurred. And that is very, very rare. What we're more likely to see, and particularly with high level, is where it's been working great, and then we don't get new updates. But it's not that high level has gone and deleted the attendees. Does that make sense?
Well, I'm trying to figure out where the problem is. Like I said, right now I added the tag to a contact I created in high level, and it's not being synced over currently at all. So no matter how many times I refresh, so it's not communicating to Obvio right now, unless nope, still not there. And so I want to make this work so that I can save myself a bunch of time, which is what this whole thing is about, right? So
yeah, 100%. Yeah. Justin?
So I got to ask Grant, is there something we can do to stabilize these integrations? I've done Go High Level, ConvertKit, and Entreport in the last 3 weeks. Every one of them has had issues.
Yeah.
Go High Level got stuck. Entreport deleted my tags and put in bogus tags. ConvertKit just stopped syncing. So it's getting to the point where I really want to trust them like they used to be stable, but I'm ready to go back to Zapier, to be honest. Because I'm blind when it happens. And same thing like Kenny's attendees just magically got deleted. My client sent out blank emails because a third of his attendees didn't get the Obvio link because it was stuck and we didn't know it.
Right. Yeah. And look, I'm sorry for all that, the pain and the diminishing confidence that you have, that you, particularly as you come into an event day or something, you're just like, a change is going to be coming through. And
a lot of that is because we're blind to it. So like, I can't see anything about when the last time it sunk. So in the case of Go High Level, which could be happening to Ken, the team had to do something to unstick it. They could see that it was stuck somewhere and they did something on their side. And then all of a sudden a whole slew, I could see a bunch of attendees got removed and a whole bunch of attendees got added, but something was stuck.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you have drainage? High level drainage?
I know.
So there's a couple of things. One is that obviously our commitment is to keep all of these working really well. I guess there's two other things. One is that all we can do is take specific bugs or problems that we see or changes that happen in their APIs, and the way that they send webhooks, or like every one of them is different, which makes it more complex, and the way that they send the data. Simple things like we were saying last time about high level. Is it high level that does the lowercase?
Yep.
No. Yeah, it is. Yeah, right. Like
that was my next question gonna be, and why does it change it to lowercase?
Yeah,
so frustrating.
So it is, and it's not an Obvio thing. It's totally the way that it sends it is that it essentially is trying to send first name and last name like a tag, and it thinks of it as a tag, and so the tag is always lowercase. But it's crazy, and so the challenge for us is, do we then try to build something in between that then takes it and title cases it, knowing that that's probably going to cause problems, like because you're going to have Mr. McDonald who's like, I've got an uppercase D in my name, like why has it been changed? And so, or hyphenated, or all sorts of challenges that you have with when you change the case of a name. So it's a perfect example, but that's an example of working on that individual issue or what we see, and that's one category of things that we want to keep doing. And the third category, Justin, to your point, I think is great, and that is to give you more insight into what the system's doing. And so from our point of view, when was the last time we received data from that integration, or even potentially some sort of log that shows what that data was or something, so you're getting something to help you in diagnosing what particular issues might be. And as I said, we've just overlaid in the way that we're storing our all of the attendee data is speeding up, and we're trying to speed up the application and the way that the data is provided, and that is working. But of course, there's another layer of integration that has to fit in with how we're doing all of that. So, I don't want to be trying to spin all of that. I get that there's some issues with integrations, and we just have to try to smash all of them out as we can. So the more specific that we can be around identifying what those issues are, the better, and we keep working through it. And hopefully we can build the confidence back up that it's working well. So
I guess for now the solution is to use Zapier. To be sure.
Well,
or manually. I don't really want to do it manually because I have the whole workflow built out. Now somebody signs up for my masterclass, they instantly get their link to the dashboard, and it's the experience that I'm teaching that I want to be able to provide for my attendees.
Fair enough. Yep, I totally understand. And I would say that it's the testing of it to see where it's happening, and that's what I meant before about the deleting of attendees, of deleting a whole attendee is not a function that we have set for the integrations. So that it shouldn't be deleting. The fact that you had deleted or the attendees deleted was something else on our side. And I would need to check this with Blue, and Blue's going to come on in a minute, and so you can grill him.
I unfortunately have to. Oh no, I do have time. Never mind.
Okay.
Just checking my time for my next call. If Blue can come, yeah, because if we can take a look at the screen and test it to see what happened. Is it disconnected completely? The only way for me to reconnect it was now it had a new instance that it was running, and it just wiped out all the attendees and had to recreate them. And because the call was just coming like, where is everybody? And all of a sudden I noticed like, oh, they can't access it because they kept emailing me. I'm not able to get in. And that's when I realized, wait a minute, like the whole integration that was set and tested was gone. And it wasn't like I had done changes, like we had already done a call like that and it worked perfectly fine. So it didn't occur to me to say, oh, is this still working? Because we'd just done a call the week before.
So Ken, for that one, I've actually had that exact thing happen. When you disconnect and reconnect Go High Level and it gives you that tag, you have to either retag all your attendees or go into High Level and rename that tag so that all the attendees have it before you click the import button.
Yeah, I've done all of that. Just in my case, the attendees are not coming back over. I have to do it manually. So I'm not sure what's going on with that.
Yeah, yours just might be stuck, and I'd have to have
That's
Heather
why I was
reach out to
asking
the team
if Grant had any high-level drainage.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Blue's trying to get off another call to get back on here, so we should see him in a minute. I'll be interested to hear what his thoughts are, and I think he'll have some more insight into it as well. We'll see. It's interesting that we haven't had issues as much with Zapier, but then that has its own limitations, though, right? And so maybe that's part of it too. So hopefully any minute, and we can bail him up.
Just want to take a glance at what it currently looks like for the sake of it while we hope for Blue to be able to come.
Yeah, when Blue comes, I'd like him to see that, because he's got a better understanding of it from that end. Cool. Next question, Heather.
Yes. So Miriam said, when I am ready for my first event, should I leave it totally blank to be built from scratch, or should I have the basics done and then it'll be worked on from there?
Hello, Grant.
Hello, Miriam. Yeah, you want to rephrase the question?
I'm just trying to get ahead of the game, right? Like I have, I'm a planner and a prepper. So I anticipate a really nice turnout for my first event. Seriously, it's going to be amazing, which freaks me out all on its own. And I'm just thinking about the whole Obvio. The person that I was going to have help me out, they're just not going to be able to do it because of the volume. Like, there's just no way. So I know that I need to I get the first one built out, and if I do it in advance, but how much, what do I need to have figured out before that happens? And how far in advance can I do that so that if I want to make changes, I can? Can I do it like earlier than,
Can you speak to that, Heather? It's like a whole process, right? This is like for a leap. This is for
You need to reach out to your Leap contact, and they send you a form, and then that form will ask you for certain things that you'll provide, and then they will send that over to us where we'll create that for you, and then we'll go from there. So you don't have to create anything for it. Whatever's on the form, it will tell you, and then you can just move along from there, and we'll help get that together for you.
And how far in advance should I do that? Like at least a month and a half?
As soon as possible. The earlier we get, it's easier for us to make revisions. If you don't have something that's compatible, if you insert a file that doesn't open or is the wrong size, it just gives us time to work with you back and forth to get everything done correctly. In reality, it'll take maybe about a week total to do it. But like I said, if things come up, or like it might take a day for them to get the information from me to get it to you, so forth. So just give yourself as much time as possible. But a month is a good starting point, but we can do it in about like a week or two, but it might put a lot of pressure on you or stress. So I wouldn't recommend that so much.
Okay. Thank you. That was my question. Thanks.
Yeah, that's great. So welcome, Blue. We're gonna throw you straight in the deep end.
Nice.
Ken Ken and Justin were just having a conversation about integrations, and unfortunately, unfortunately, Ken had a pretty bad experience with having attendees deleted and during an event and things. So I'll hand over to Ken, and I'm also going to jump out now, which it was perfect timing. I'm gonna throw the grenade and then run out. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to leave you in the hands of Blue, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Grant. Appreciate that. And hello, Blue.
Hey.
Hey.
So,
do you remember the times when we put names on a Google Sheet and then program Zapier for it to appear as an Obvio attendee way back?
Sure. I mean,
I'm getting back to that now almost, it seems like.
So first question, which integration are you using?
Go high level.
Okay. And what's happening is what? Like, catch me up, because outside of what Grant said, I don't know that I know anything.
Sure. So I had set up a automation where if I tag somebody in my Go High Level, or they would register for a masterclass or webinar, they would automatically get tagged with the Obvio tag that connects them and therefore bring them into Obvio automatically.
Okay.
And so I'd set it up. I had a group of people that were in my group coaching that all were set up with a dashboard and ran week 1, worked fine. And then week 2, all of a sudden I get messages, we can't get in. And then I noticed that the whole high level connection was gone, was unlinked. And the only way to relink it is it regenerated something, or it just didn't do it properly. And so all the attendees were instantly, they had all been removed just overnight somehow. And so I set up a new test one today. And when I tag it in high level manually with the tag that Obvio gives me, that person is just not being moved over into Obvio.
Okay, and which is...
So the test one I'm doing right now is the Mini Studio Mega Impact.
Which
Ken Sky.
Sorry, which?
It should be Ken Sky, I believe. Yeah, just Ken Sky. And then the last one that was set up.
Mini Studio Mega Impact?
Correct.
And
so I just created a contact in high level with that tag. And they're not being pulled over.
yeah, that's because this event is dated in the past. So there's a few things I'm just going to say, just in general, the reason why your attendees aren't being pulled in this particular case,
okay,
is because the event ended on April 25th of 2024.
I see.
Okay. And one of the things that we do with all of our integrations is, for a number of reasons, but once the event date has passed, the integration is essentially turned off or the connection is broken. The main reason we do that is because otherwise we'll continue to get a bunch of information from it. This is not true for all the different integrations, but in some cases we just get a bunch of stuff indefinitely if we don't do that. So in this case, that's what's going on. So I would say start by changing the end date to be in the future, and then go back to high level. In high level's case, I believe you may need to recreate the integration and then turn on the sync and see if that works.
Okay, so I use this account or this specific event as an example, just because I know that this call is being live streamed to YouTube and to protect some information there. So I didn't want to go into the other one that is not where the end date is not the issue, but that one is not working either.
Okay, so and that one is which one? And
the Audience Connection Academy, the one that's live.
Okay. And what you're finding, so right now, how many people inside of?
I think there's about 5 in there right now.
Yeah, well, there's 4, but how many inside of your high level account are actually can I do this? I think for the benefit of everybody, if you have Ken, why don't we take this call offline and schedule a call with you and me so we can actually share screen properly and dive into that. And I'll also, we schedule it in the morning. I think I have some time tomorrow.
Yeah, that works for me.
Then I will work on getting one of our dev team available at the same time who could potentially help in figuring out what's going on if it is a code base issue.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Cool. Yep. All right. And we can all laugh at Grant. Sometimes that's how I answer a question, by not answering the question at all. Okay, next question.
All right, this one is from Rich. He said during our live virtual event, one of our laptops, which was an HP, repeatedly dropped off of the Zoom broadcast meeting. This was the one with Liz as the speaker. How can I prevent this from happening in the future? I did have another laptop open in the same Zoom room and area to view the chat box.
And that second computer was not dropping in and out?
No. Matter of fact, everything was hardwired. And that was a curious thing. It was about 4 hours in and it did it twice with her computer. And I'm thinking, is there a log we should go into? Is an issue with her computer or who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Did Chuck have any ideas? Because I know he was helping you with your event.
Yeah, he said, look at the log, and I'm not sure what log they talk about. I know that some of the applications like PowerPoint has a log you'll bring up if there's a goof in it.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of stuck. I mean, it didn't seem to be overheating, but I want to have a game plan to prevent it in the future.
So here's what I'll say. Generally speaking, when we see, did the Zoom connection disconnect and just reconnect, or did it disconnect and you had to physically reconnect it?
I had to physically reconnect it with her computer.
And was the Zoom application still open, or did the Zoom application close?
No, everything was open for everybody else. I was right
on
there.
The computer, though. I mean, the application itself close, not the Zoom meeting, the Zoom application itself.
On her computer, well, it looked like it was open. That was the weird thing, but it was dropped from Obvio Zoom from broadcasting. So she was talking away and everything's cool. And all of a sudden I'm looking at my computer and then Chuck says, hey, Liz is not there as speaker.
But you said from her perspective, everything seemed fine, but not like, could she see participants?
I don't remember, but she did. I mean, it's not like her screen disappeared as she's talking, you know, of course.
Which screen though, Rich?
Okay, I guess. So we had, the camera was here, a dedicated view camera, her laptop, which she could see, but it was smaller. So she's not trying to look down. And then on the left side is a chat open, so she can see the chat with a large monitor. And then her notes and the slides were on a huge 70-inch screen. So, you know, she's not looking down. And I'm monitoring it on my computer. So I'm going through, you know, the Zoom area and the main stage, and I'm just monitoring everything. And all of a sudden Liz disappears. And so Chuck and I at the same time says, you're dropped.
And from her perspective, she could still see participants?
Yeah, because she's looking at the chat screen. The chat's open and then there's participants.
And is the chat screen the same computer that exited the meeting?
No, it's not.
Okay, so we don't know whether or not, so we really don't know what was happening on that computer.
That's correct. I think she could see participants.
Yeah, that doesn't sound likely. I mean, if she could, so, but this would kind of help you to dive into where the problem is, right? So if all of a sudden she could still see participants, but the participants couldn't see and hear her, then it is a connection break likely between the whatever video and audio source you have and her computer. Like, that's the problem, right? It comes down to where is the problem to try and tackle solving it.
Okay.
If all of a sudden, Zoom just kind of exited the meeting and you couldn't see participants and you couldn't see anything else, that's usually rare without a dialogue, a Zoom, like a dialogue box of some sort that says something took place. It's not uncommon, like it's not completely uncommon, but it's not super normal. Usually what happens is you'll get an error message of some sort that relates to like Zoom connectivity, or your internet connection is unstable.
No, we didn't get that message at all. I'm sorry to interrupt, but just
no,
let you
it's
know.
okay. Okay, so if it's it could just be that the meeting ended. That's another potential issue, but it doesn't sound like that was the problem, because you could still see meeting chat, which means your meeting chat computer was still in the meeting. So it doesn't sound like the meeting was ended. It doesn't sound it sounds like to me it was either a connection between your video and audio source and your computer, or your computer and the internet. That's what it sounds like to me, but I can't give you much more than that without having seen it or knowing much more than that.
Okay.
And I'm not sure what logs Chuck is referring to.
Yeah, I wasn't either. I have to follow up on him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you a lot. Well, that narrows it down for a million.
Yeah, I mean, I know it doesn't really help. And here's the biggest frustrating, the most frustrating part about anytime you are troubleshooting a computer error is knowing where to look, right?
Yeah, right.
And sometimes it's just like thinking through what's taking place right now. Like, okay, because if this happens, let's see, right? But you can still hear me, but you can no longer see me. All right, well, now we have a video problem, right? So this isn't an internet connection problem, right? This is manifesting right now as some sort of video connection problem.
Gotcha.
And this video connection problem is different than this video connection problem, right? This video connection problem is, the first video connection problem is I'm on the wrong input, right? So cut back to an input that actually has video. The other video connection problem is, in all likelihood, your video source has, like, if I unplug my ATEM Mini as an example, you'll see what happens, right? So now I have no video coming through. This is one type of problem, but you can still hear me because my microphone is coming from something else entirely. So, you like and also so many of these things are hard to recreate the problem if you don't know what was actually taking place. So,
correct. And the thing that thinks that and the one issue that I identify that probably wasn't it is, we have our video camera, it's hardwired, it's a mini HDMI port, it goes to a capture card. If that gets knocked loose, then you just get, you speaking and no video. But it wasn't the case. Her end on her laptop just dropped. And I had to go in there and go back into the Obvio Zoom area and main stage. I remember clicking it twice to do that.
Which basically sounds like it means like Zoom had closed.
Yes.
Yeah. So it sounds to me like Zoom crashed on the computer. That's what it sounds like.
Okay.
Right? It doesn't sound to me like an internet connection problem, because usually internet connection problems, if it's intermittent, it'll resolve itself. If it's an actual internet connection at your location, then all meetings will disconnect. It won't just be the one.
Right.
Right. Yeah. But in this case, it was just the one. So, you know, I've had instances where I'm looking at 6 meetings and all 6 of them shut down. It's like, okay, well, that's not a computer problem, right? That is, it's easy to tell that is likely an internet problem. So yeah, in this particular case, it sounds to me like Zoom crashed. The things that I would be looking at would be to make sure you update to the latest version of Zoom. Although we're in this interesting moment right now where I'm not entirely sure I love the latest version of Zoom. And also they just released a major update, and they've already released 2 bug fixes for it within a week of releasing the major update. So it's an interesting time for us. If I was you guys, I would stay on 5.17 for another week or so, assuming you have that choice.
Okay, that's good to know.
So
little things behind the scene that you pick up.
Yeah, exactly. Onric, for me too. I'm on 6.02 right now. So, but anyway. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hopefully that helps to try and track down the issue. Any other? What's the next question?
The next one's from Jenny. What is the image waterfall, and is that related to image entries? And if so, how is that used?
Sure. So image waterfall and image entries are directly related. They are essentially the same feature, or different 2 parts of the same feature, actually. Let's see which one. All right, so I think you're seeing, yeah, okay. So under image waterfall is the name of the default menu item for the front end of the image entries feature. So if I were to go to features and image entries, we call the page that attendees can see the image waterfall page. So image entries is where you can actually approve images that are submitted, essentially. So let me show you how we used this at the virtual event on virtual events, because that's probably the fastest and easiest way, because I know it's working, or I know it's available there. So features, and actually I'm going to start by logging in as an attendee. Okay, so I actually have it turned off. Look at me go. All right, so let's go to dashboard and disable that random button. And where is pick a date and upload photo? Okay, let's enable that button. So first things first, for attendees to be able to submit a photo to the image entries feature, you need to assign a button to the image uploader feature. So that's done simply by creating a button, and then rather than sending it to a link or an area or a form, you send it to the image uploader. Now, once you do that, you then go to you can format how it looks normally, but the pop-up that people get once they actually click on that is editable in the image entries feature, looking at image waterfall settings. So first off, it goes down here to the upload form area. So upload form title, upload form text, upload button text. Those are the things that you're going to want to customize, and how it manifests itself will come to us eventually. Is essentially through a little pop-up. And what your attendees can do is they can upload an image that they've taken and submit it. Now, inside of image entries, you have 3 different statuses: pending, approved, and rejected. So this feature is a moderated feature. It is not a feature where people upload an image to the image waterfall and it instantly, or to the image uploader, and it instantly shows up on the image waterfall. It has to actually be approved. So the reason for that is things like this. Sometimes people will submit 2 of the exact same image, right? So in my case, if I was going to approve this image, I would click approve, but then I would probably reject that image. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to here for a second and see if I get. All right, so pick a date. So what you do is you click this button here, and you have first or next event date, right? That's very similar, or that's the text that shows up right here, your first or next event date. Then the text here shows up right there. And then the share my photo button, that's that button right there. So the user would highlight and click share my photo. And when the user does that, inside of pending images, it shows up. And I'm having some issues with my particular event just because of the fact that it's in the past and weird things happen when that happens. But once you approve an image, now you have a whole bunch of images that essentially you've gone through and approved. And what you can do is go to the image waterfall feature, which is currently is it turned off right now? Enabled. Oh, attendee photos. That's what we called it. Where is that? Welcome our host leaderboard. I honestly forget where we put it. So I know I can click to it from here. But this is what the image waterfall page looks like. And it is essentially, it only loads 100 images at any point, and it loads them randomly. And your attendees can like go through, click on the person, and like flip through the photos and so on and so forth. So that's the image waterfall feature, kind of in a nutshell, if you will. So there you go. They are connected. It's also really quick overview of how to use it.
Great. So our next question is from May. We are having our first 3-day event at the end of the month. Ideally, we would like to have our dashboard ready by this Friday to begin the registration process. What is the most efficient way to get the main components complete ASAP?
Can you ask that question one more time?
Yeah. So they have their first 3-day event at the end of the month. They want to have their dashboard ready by Friday to begin registration process. What is the most efficient way to get the main components complete?
Awesome. And who asked that question?
May.
Okay, awesome. So first thing that I would say is that your dashboard does not need to be ready for you to start registering attendees. Okay, so that's just statement number 1. You can have it ready if you want, but just from a, I don't want to call it best practices perspective, but what we do at Sage, generally speaking, is the dashboard is created usually about a week before the event. We rarely give attendees access to a dashboard more than 2 or 3 days before the event actually begins, mostly because there's generally not a whole heck of a lot that our clients do with the dashboards in advance. Now, there's some exceptions to that. Every once in a while, we'll have a client who has some pre-event content that gets posted to the dashboard, maybe as a bonus for VIPs or something along those lines. In which case, yes, it is important, if that's going to be your video delivery mechanism or your delivery mechanism of some sort of pre-event content, that the dashboard be ready when you're ready to send that out. Now, from there, fastest way to get things done, I guess, is just to start by picking a template and start customizing that template to match your event. I generally speaking, I think that the easiest template to customize is the cards template. And it's the one that you can do the fastest. I was on a call earlier this week with somebody giving them a demo of Obvio, and customized a dashboard that they're probably going to just stick with as a demo for something, and it took 10 minutes. The cool thing about the cards template is it requires two things to really get started. One is the background image for the above the fold area. And then the next is the logo for your event. And then it does need a couple of other things, which are some colors that you can use for buttons and for header background images. Once you have that done, the rest of it works and flows really, really quickly. So, 10, 15 minutes with a little bit of practice, you too could create your very own dashboard. But most important things are, do you have those pieces and parts? Fred, yes. The cards template is the one that Tony uses.
Awesome. Jenny says, I own an ATEM ISO that I haven't even opened. Do you have a YouTube person or resource you suggest I follow to get onboarded with it so I can use it for my next event?
Yeah. Aaron Parecki, I think is his name. I think, or Ken Sky, apparently, because he gave you your first step. That's awesome. Is it Aiden Perret? Is that his name? Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. That's Aaron Blue.
Yeah. There we go.
And Photo Joseph, you want to add a name to that. They tend to do some videos together as well, so content tends to be a little more in sync.
Yep. Yeah, so they do a ton of stuff, and I think are probably a good fit.
Awesome. All right. The next one's also from Jenny. She said, is there a secret to getting the magic fields and button a similar font size as the rest of my text? Happy to change my font to match whatever the default is if it can't be changed. I just don't know what it is.
Ask that again?
The magic fields and adding a button to get that to be a similar font size as the rest of her text.
Where?
I can help. On the dashboard and in the email, like if I chose a certain font, when I would use the magic field, like hello name, that the name would be in a different font and color than what I had planned on it, both on the dashboard and in emails. And it's likely a user error.
Yeah, well, I mean, anything's possible. So let's see. I will say this, the merge fields inside of emails are a little, this doesn't seem like something that would take place on the dashboard, because where did you insert merge fields on the dashboard?
What's it called? Like a blog post? Is that what they're called?
Well, that is one of the things on the dashboard. Yeah. And did you manually type the merge field in? Do we have the ability to merge custom fields inside of dashboards? Oh, variables. We do. Huh.
Yeah, usually the header. You can get that in the header a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I see what's going on. So same thing that likely happened inside of, I'm going to give you a shortcut, and then this is something that we should work on fixing. So I will submit this to our dev team. So here's the shortcut, and I see what's going on, right? So you're just like, hi there. And then you're putting first name. and then you're going, good to see you. And then you're highlighting it all and you're saying, okay, I want to make my background color yellow and I want to make my font black. And then you click save and it doesn't work, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So here's the short-term fix. Okay. When you insert a variable, whatever text you get for that particular variable, if you were to just take it and go open bracket, first underscore name, close bracket, and just actually type it rather than relying on that variable and click save, now it'll work. So it's a bug on our end. That is not user error. That's definitely something that on our end. Once the variables are inserted into text fields, they go in a weird way that I need to get the dev team to fix. But if you just type in the merge code, you don't have to use the variable from the dropdown. It's just text that gets inserted. You can manually type it as long as you type it the same way.
And that should apply to the fonts as well too, not just the coloring. Okay.
Yeah, it applies to both. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
okay.
if we were to kind of go back in here and, highlight this and change the font type to be, I don't know, Oswald, right? And click save, it'll work. Whereas if we were, again, to put a variable first name in there, even if we Command A, so it's highlighted, and change the font to Oswald and change the font size to 25, right? And click save. It still doesn't change that text.
Okay.
So it's all the root problem is the same, which is the merge fields from the variable menu come in a weird way. But you can type the exact same thing in text, like just typing it manually rather than relying on the merge field, and it'll still merge and will be able to be formatted.
Cool. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
All right. The next question was from Robin. She wants to know how she can bring up a timer on the full screen when she's giving participants time to complete a task.
There's a couple different ways that you can do it. Easiest way would be to open up a timer somewhere on your computer and share that timer as a screen. And just share that, share your screen. Something that you may want to do. I've found this from Grant, stagetimer.io, which stagetimer.io. So when I log into stagetimer.io, do I log in this way? I forget how I do this. Give me a sec. Let's see if I can find it. Do I have Lane? Is this the starter? Is free? No, that's not it. I actually have a paid account. Actually, you know what? Let's just do it with the free account. See if that works. Sign in with Google. Go back here. Okay, so we're going to create a room. Accept. And we are, I forget how to do all of this stuff, but if I were to start this countdown timer, and then I would stop sharing my screen and just click the little full screen icon, and now go back into Zoom and don't open up that. There. So you should see a 10-minute countdown timer. So that's probably the easiest way to do it. although I didn't make it look easy there, mostly just because I haven't used stagetimer.io in a while. But it's a pretty easy way to do something like that. That's probably the simplest way. But again, there's a few different ways. It just depends on what your full setup is.
Thank you.
Okay. Jeff wants to know if we have an updated ETA on when Marketplace with sales pages will be live.
March 31st. I don't. We're still working on it. It is closer than it was last week. I have, yeah, we've been doing a lot of testing and making a bunch of little changes. I think I told you guys about this last time we chatted about Marketplace. We had made some changes so that the page load times were significantly reduced. And that part is done. We're now going through and doing a second round of bug fixes on things that we are aware of. And then once that's finished, we will then create the thank you page. And then once that's in place, then it'll go live. Once the thank you page, or once the main Marketplace page is complete, it should go pretty fast. But I think we're still a couple of weeks of dev work from that being truly done. So I'd like to say March 31st, but we're a month past that.
Thanks for the update.
Yep.
He had another question. Will Obvio ever add a second sign-up link for the purpose of applying 2 different rules?
Yes-ish. So that will wind up being possible. Why do you ask the hard questions, Jeff? That'll actually wind
that's
up.
why I get on these calls.
Yeah. That'll wind up actually being possible with Marketplace, right? So what you would wind up doing is you would create a Marketplace page, even if it's for a free event, and you would create multiple free tickets, and each free ticket could have tags that get applied to it. And then you make all of those tickets hidden, and you use each ticket can have its own unique link to a Marketplace page, where on that particular page, all you can register for is that particular ticket. So that's how you would do it with Marketplace in place. And much like the previous iteration of Marketplace, you will be able to use Marketplace with free tickets. It's not just a paid ticket feature.
That'll be amazing. Sweet.
All right. My moderation page paused, but the other one was also from Jeff about a streaming ninja. Jeff, do you remember what that was?
Yeah, I wondered if Social Stream Ninja might get added. No problem, Heather. Thanks. At some point for doing overlays.
I don't know. What is Social Stream Ninja?
So it integrates with all sorts of things. So I use it in Zoom. It works in OBS. Here to record their H2R graphics uses it. It works on YouTube. Integrates with most platforms out there that you would use for virtual events. And so I just wondered if it was available for Obvio. They do like at least one update a day. They really do a good job of staying on top of integrating with platforms. It's totally free, and it functions as a Chrome browser extension.
And what does it do?
So it's mainly for like chat and stuff. And Ken, I don't know. Ken, I think you might use this too, and Justin and Muddy. But anyways, we use it a lot for Q&A overlays. If someone asks a question, it can pop up through that. And then it can also deliver messages on the back end to other apps and other applications. So when I'm running different softwares, I can pull it in there. But the origin of where I grab it from attendees, it typically comes from Zoom chat. but then I can manipulate it from there.
It's basically a way to animating a chat over your own screen, so you can pull it out from the chat and it shows it as a lower third overlay.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to attendees. And then as far as the event producer, you can start sending those chats and those messages to different places and pulling that data and manipulating it on the back end.
Are they using, for Zoom, are they using OSC, or what are they using to do that?
Do you know the answer to that, Ken? I don't. As far as
it's a different plugin, but I'm just opening mine up to see if I could actually give you a demo.
And does it give you like a video source that you can then key out to overlay? Is that essentially what it's doing in the end?
Yeah, so it sort of automatically does that.
Yeah, so what you do is you, in this case, what Jeff and I are doing is we grab the content, put it on the URL that it doesn't have that information there. So we just put it as an overlay, as a web URL overlay on top of our video screen.
Yeah, their URL that they give you, they're generating everything on the back end. So as long as you plug in their URL to OBS, wherever you want to display it, it will show up, beautifully. You can customize the styling in their plugin as well.
I should have an example in just a second here.
Okay.
So if you're using Zoom, do you need to use OBS, or can it inject directly into Zoom without the need for a video software switcher?
I actually don't know the answer to that. I always put OBS in between because that's how I'm inserting the URL. I'm adding the URL on OBS, and then that my virtual camera from OBS is then brought into Zoom. Ken, do you know?
My assumption is they're screen scraping Zoom because you have to run Zoom in a browser for Social Stream to actually get the chat messages.
Got it.
There's Ken's example.
There you go.
And then they essentially take those chat messages, stick it on a server, and then you could actually have a web page where you could pull in the individual chat messages. You could have a web page that shows you all the ones that are there, and you can click on them to pop it up in the overlay. Kind of similar to what you showed for the question and moderation form that you were doing last week and the week before for the overlay.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, Ken's a good example.
You can click it on and off. Basically, it pops up into, in this case, OBS pops in. You can click it and it say, "Oh, so Voodoo Ninja is saying, when is a door not a door?"
So basically, what they're doing is they're probably creating a custom layer inside of OBS that's already transparent and allowing you to overlay it through their plugin. Is that basically what's going on?
It is.
I think so. I think there's an alpha going on.
If it really is just a website that pulls this information in.
Right.
Just think of your emojis from that are triggered by Obvio.
Mm-hmm.
This is a social stream that connects to all the platforms such as TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, grabs all those comments from anywhere, and then you can take that and make that flow over your screen just like the emojis. That's in essence what it is.
Got it. Yeah. I'd have to play around with it. The bottom line is you can get into a Zoom meeting through the browser, so it may already be compatible-ish. But
I use it in Obvio already. I just wondered if there might be a more direct integration for those that may not want to go through the tech steps that I did to complete it. And I'd love to shorten
do this natively with Ecamm now, but I didn't say that.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question. I've never used it, so I'll take a peek and play around with it.
It's something to check out. I like the moderation and stuff you guys are adding with forms. The challenge for me is with that, I'm already using this workflow and bringing in stuff through Social Stream Ninja. So for me to use the forms in Obvio, it adds another workflow that I have to manage.
Yeah.
And then if I'm using Social Stream and I'm using Forms and Obvio, style wise, it looks, if I use Obvio, it looks drastically different than Social Stream Ninja. So I'd love to get everything on one, just so that I have, through line as far as graphics.
Yeah. And I think what that really relies on is, the chat stream, right? Yeah. So usually tools like this are hard to get into Obvio, which is probably consistent with your experience. And that's largely based on the security stuff that we have in place for Obvio. Now, what I'd be curious about, Jeff, is, and you can try this, is if you create a Zoom area, and inside that, when you start that Zoom area, you don't check requires approval, you turn that off. And then you also check, can the same user use multiple devices? If you check that and uncheck the other, so basically reverse the defaults. And then once you're inside of Zoom, grab the meeting ID and passcode. If Social Stream would just join Obvio the same way it does normally. Assuming like in a regular Zoom meeting, all you need to do is provide it with a meeting ID and passcode. And I don't know if that's true or not.
Could you then
I'm using
turn
a
off
room reg link right now?
You're using the what?
Room reg link. Pulling it in that way.
Yeah, no. But what I mean is, if you were to use Zoom like normally without Obvio, how do you get Social Streams Ninja into it?
Comes in just via OBS, and then I'm using a application, a different plugin on the back end to connect the two.
Right, but does it, and do you have to, at some point you have to tell that application where to go? What are you telling it? Are you telling it like, here's the meeting ID, here's the passcode, here's the join URL? What are you giving it to tell it where to go?
The actual Zoom URL, the meeting URL.
Okay, so then if you turn off that requires authentication or whatever that feature set is, if you turn that off and then use the Zoom join URL that you get from the green shield when you join Zoom, I'd be curious to know if that works, because it probably would.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So it comes down to security, right? So
could you bring that machine in and then turn that feature on again? Would that?
No, you can't. That feature can't be turned on or off after the event is started. In fact, we technically don't allow you to change that setting after the area is created. You have to create a new area to change that setting.
So getting Social Stream into Obvio actually is not a big problem. It's just a lot more technical than I think most people want to go through, which is why Jeff was seeing if there truly could be an Obvio, and then you don't have to go through the tech rigmarole of running that Zoom in a browser and having the browser plugin.
And while I really love you guys, like a lot, like I really appreciate the questions you bring to the table.
Blame Jeff.
If you're using OBS, you can probably stand to figure the rest of the shit out without me.
Yes.
But I'm happy to take a peek at it at some point, and see if there's a way that we can, work with, like what would be interesting is if Social Stream Ninja would be able to get into Zoom using a ZAC token, which is the same way that we get Zoom OSC or Zoom ISO into the application or into Zoom. Because if it could, that would, that stuff is already built into the platform, albeit currently at the enterprise level, but it is something that is potentially doable if that's possible on the Social Stream Ninja side.
Social Stream Ninja actually doesn't even care about the Zoom side. It's a browser plugin at the end of the day. So you just join Zoom, and then if it sees a Zoom link and you've enabled the extension, it just works. So it's really not actually like, you're never really telling it the Zoom login link.
Got it. So it really, all it really is doing is just, like you said, it's just scraping the screen.
Yep. That's why it only works in the web version of Zoom.
Yeah. Yeah. And to be honest with you, if I could turn off the web version of Zoom entirely, I would. So maybe the answer to that question, Jeff, is probably not.
I only bring it up because of some of what you guys are developing. It does. And so I just wanted to put it on your radar more than anything.
Yeah, and I think it does in a way that is like most likely creating a unique, because of the plugin nature of it with OBS, it's creating a unique layer that is essentially pre-keyed or transparent in advance. Whereas what we're doing isn't that, right? What we're doing is we're creating a page that you have to bring into something that you then have to manually key. So similar but different.
Cool. Well, thanks for chatting it through.
You're welcome.
All right. So Onric, he has two questions. One, he has phone numbers are not showing up in his attendees tab after they register through the sign up checkout page. It's through his CC event. Which
What's the organization called, Onric?
3978. So it's 1127, and then event is 3978.
Oh, not the ID. Although I think I can do that. 39.
1 second.
No, that's fine.
So I have it open here on my screen.
Oh, it looks like it's raising capital then. I see it in your right now.
Is that the event or is that the?
No, it's the Capital Cafe. Here we go.
Okay, I got it.
All right, you got it. That's it. Capital Cafe. So basically, I actually did this one myself this afternoon. Signed up here, put in a phone number, and then the phone number just does not appear under the attendees tab. Wrong keyboard. And I don't know if that is user error because there we go. And this is the one I entered in, and there's no phone number in there.
I'm still seeing your dashboard.
Oh, sorry, wrong button. So this is no API, no synchronization. This is directly on the the Obvio sign up link.
Oh,
And normally I find whenever something goes wrong, it's me doing something stupid that I haven't figured out yet.
So you're saying on the.
Yeah. So you go here to the event,
I see it. Yeah.
Obvio, and then the attendee shows up there, and there's no phone number in it. And I entered in with the kind of +1, 864, whatever, that it needed.
Yeah, that shouldn't be necessary.
Blue, we don't need to solve this today. It's not like absolutely time critical. Because my second question is about the same event where the download Zoom background button just doesn't work. Never mind what you do with it.
Okay. Sorry. So I was just replicating the problem with the phone number on the sign up page.
Mm-hmm.
Give me 1 second. Okay. Hopefully we'll have that solved soon. But like I said, I was able to replicate the issue. So there's
Yep.
the good news.
So the second one is same event. There's a button that says download the cafe background, which is goes to the Zoom area, and it's supposed to go dashboard tab backgrounds, and all it does if I do it outside of the dashboard, right? It basically just opens up a new window. cc.obvio.io tab backgrounds, but it doesn't actually download the background. So I don't know if there's something that I'm just doing wrong with it, and how I have it set up, basically. Oh, I didn't mean to click it. Meant to hit the basically link to page backgrounds.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Sorry, I'm just submitting this in this moment rather than trying to remember to do it later. Okay, same statement. Hopefully that'll be fixed shortly.
And, as I said, this is not absolutely time critical. I'm testing the event tomorrow with a kind of a live stream, and these are little toys that are not critical for the event to go down. One quick thing whilst I have you on, I had a terrific Obvio demo this week with the guys at Pronk Studios in Greenville. Have you heard of them?
No, but that doesn't mean anything.
They have a 10,000 square foot studio in downtown Greenville with a 40-foot LED wall, and they film all sorts of events and things. And they starting to get into virtual events. So I gave them an Obvio demo, and they just absolutely loved it. I mean, really, really loved it. Do you want me to run with it or just try and introduce you guys?
Either one would be fine. If you want to run with it, go for it. If you would like to bring us into the loop, I'm happy to have that conversation as well.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That was all. I got some house guests and stuff, but I just wanted to make sure that you knew that I was having some trouble with the dashboards.
Yeah, I see that, and we will work on it. Sorry about that.
No. Appreciate it. Really, really appreciate these calls. Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, so our next question is from Christine. She would like to know the exact steps in the process you used to put the workshop recordings on the dashboard. I have a Searchy account and wants to do the same thing in her benefits to organization.
Give me 1 second. Sorry, I'm still looking at something else. Yeah, okay. So the exact steps that you would take to put any video onto the dashboard is the same. So it is upload the video to the service that you would like to share it from, whether it's YouTube, Searchy, Vimeo, Wistia. Those are the services that we natively support. And then once you upload the video to that service, get a link to the video or a share link from any one of those services. And then you insert the video file to the editor using the media embedder. So if you give me a second, I'll show you an example on this page. But that is the super fast version of how you do it. And this applies, like I said, to any service that you would like to share video from. So this is this particular event, right? So this is the Obvio Q&A call. And if I were to open up, actually here, if I were to just take this video here from YouTube and I wanted to share that video onto the dashboard. So again, I just highlighted the address bar, copied that URL. Another way to do it, you could go share and click copy next to the link. Either one of those two things are essentially going to get you the same result. You then go to a blog post, if that's where you would like to put it. Click the little insert media button, paste the URL, click the check mark, and then click save. And that'll insert that URL or that video into the blog post. That can be true. That can be done pretty much anywhere you see one of these text editors. We've had people put, put videos in the sidebar. We've had people put videos on speaker pages, on sponsor pages, on FAQ pages. We've had people put video on offline pages, actually. Pretty much anywhere you see that editor that allows you to insert media, you're able to do that. So with Searchy specifically, again, if I were to sign into my Searchy account and I were to go to any one of the videos that I have, let's say this video right here, and I click the little share icon, and I click copy URL. Now when I go into a blog post and insert media and paste, it will save, or it'll insert the Searchy URL or the Searchy video. So that's essentially it. And like I said, it's the same process whether you're using Searchy, Vimeo, Wistia, or YouTube. So hopefully that answers the question.
I'm actually looking to find out more about the process, that because it's not going in a blog post. I'm doing exactly the same thing as what you did with the onboarding workshop classes. These are the classes that we've run through a training. And so I want to make sure that they're all in like I have a workshop recordings button, but I want to make sure that they show up in there like that. So is that the same thing?
No, what we're doing with the workshop recordings button on that particular dashboard, right? So if I go back and I share it, we're using a Searchy hub to do that, right? So we're actually not using Obvio at all in reality, right? So if I were to go back to, you're talking about this right here, the workshop recordings. If I were to take that URL that points to and open it up, what you're actually seeing is a Searchy URL. Like you're now no longer on Obvio. They're Obvio videos, but you're not actually on Obvio at all. You're on Searchy. So if you see this URL, app.searchy.io/hubs/bxyae2jgl, whatever, this is a Searchy function. So inside of Searchy, what we did is we went to hubs. We created a new hub, and then we added our videos here, the Obvio onboarding workshop right here. So then we added our videos, and we kept it pretty simple. Like we didn't go crazy. I think there's only two sections in this particular hub. There's a kind of like header section and a carousel section. I think that's what those are called. Oh, a feature section is what that's called. But you can add different sections to hubs, and then just insert your videos into them. But the folks at Searchy are way better at explaining how to use their platform than I am. I am barely Barely capable.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, no worries. And then of course we took the link and assigned it to a button on Obvio. So when you're in Obvio and you click on it, it feels like you never really left, because when you land on the hub page, we have it branded to Obvio. So people are like, oh, it's still Obvio, but it's really not.
All right. The next one is from Sarah. She said, do you think that you can give me some tips on my dashboard for a couple of minutes? It can be after the call. If you can, it's understandable though. It's Sarah Jeff Christensen.
Sure. Which is the, what's the organization?
She'll have to type it. I know she was having some mic issues, so she'll probably just put it in the chat. BCA.
Okay. And is it the virtual 3-day summit? Is it the office hours?
She nodded for the first one.
Okay, so there's a, okay, virtual 3-day summit. Got it. Can I share my screen? Cool. All right. So just at a glance, we're using the classic template. So design. I mean, honestly, I think this looks pretty good. Let's see this as an attendee. Just give me 1 second. So I know what you're doing here with this kind of like outline layer. Like this, I was trying to figure out what the shadow was, like if you're using a drop shadow from the front, from the top. And I think what you're doing is you're using a transparent image as the background. So the one thing that I would probably change here, Sarah, let me just take a quick look at this image. So that is, how are you getting that? Actually, now as I ask this question, how are we getting this like fuzziness all the way around? Is that the shadow? It is, but it isn't. If I disable that, because I see this shadows is, oh, that's because it's a tiny image and there's probably something there. Okay, can I I hope you don't mind. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab this color. Do you have this little square image somewhere? If I delete it from this dashboard, do you have it elsewhere? Just, I can't see you. Would you just say?
Yeah, she has her thumb up. Her
Okay.
mic's.
Great. All right. So I'm going to remove, actually, I'll save it. I have it on my computer if you need it. Let's see, a square. All right. I'm going to remove that. And instead of doing it that way, I'm actually going to use the dashboard background color and increase the opacity. So it's the same result. And then I'll turn the drop shadow back on. So that's a minor thing, but that got rid of that kind of like weird color or weird border on the bottom and on the side. So that's one thing that I would probably do, which is, again, that's pretty minor. The submit button, I think you need to change your text just because it's hard to read that. So, you probably want to go with white text for that. And you may want to style that button as well, so it mirrors your buttons up top. So again, edit post form styles, button size, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to make it 75, and I'm going to make your button border radius 5, which I'm guessing is what that is. Form center, and then submit button. I'll leave it on the left. Probably something more like that. You can play around with that. I think that looks a tiny bit better. I wonder if putting, just to give this sidebar a little bit of character, you may think about doing a border color and giving it a slight border with a little bit more radius, kind of something like that. Again, these are minor, Sarah. I think this is really, really good.
Hey, Blue, can I jump in and just mention something?
Yeah.
So the join the main stage button and the buttons underneath are not the same kind of font. Like one is all cap, like the first one has the lowercase and it's bolded and the other ones aren't. Just for consistency, you might want to adjust that.
Yeah. Agreed. Like that. Is that what you were thinking?
Yeah.
Font size is 29, Open Sans. 29, there we go. And then same thing here. So Open Sans. Or like that. All access. Ticket is not all access. Okay, got it. Yeah, I wonder if, I don't know if this is right or not. I'm just going to try something. Changing the width here from 10 or from 5 to 10 and increasing the height to 100 to kind of make this a little bit more significant, and then kind of doing the same thing here. Reducing this to 5, increasing the height to 100. And then bringing this up to the same line. So you have join the main stage or ask a question more side by side rather than vertical. Again, you may want to, throw a really, really small border on this, like 1 pixel wide on the white. Maybe something like that. You may hate all of this, and if you do, I'm sorry that you're now going to have to undo it. But yeah, this is just a couple little things that I would be thinking about. And then for your upgrade button, again, make that, kind of do the same thing just for consistency. And maybe just make this 75 high instead of, something like that. Let's give it a little bit more chunkiness. Yeah, an undo button is on our development wish list. And we're wanting to actually, it's a little bit beyond that. We're actually wanting to do, we have a concept in place for, I wonder if with that color, if a white text would look better. I don't know. So here's something that is, I don't know if this is hurting my eyes or what the problem is, Sarah, but this khaki color, this beige-ish color, I'm also going to get rid of the drop shadow because I just don't like drop shadows. That beige color is a little bit in between from a contrast perspective. So white is a little bit too light and or not, I don't know, there's just not quite enough contrast, but black is kind of the same problem. So one of the little things that I have in my brain is to either make this background color a little bit darker, perhaps. or a little bit lighter, like one of the two. Lighter looks kind of like baby poop, so I'm not really sure I like that color. It's not a good color for me. That's a little greenish. Yeah, I don't know. So I really think that personally, I think that here I'll make it the same color that it was. You may like the white, so you got to think about that one. Go to global styles and just change the text color to white for a second, see what happens there. Oh, of course, that's blog post styles, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if that's right. But for me, what happens to my eyes is I feel like I need, yeah, I don't think that's right. I'll change that back to black. A little bit more contrast between the background color and the text color, and I'm not sure how to achieve that. A bigger font size would make it easier. Yeah, good call on that. Yeah, I get that it's your part of your brand, but you may, just because it's your brand doesn't mean it has to be in that particular case, right? You may say, okay, what if we were to, here, let me just change something really fast and I'll change this back if you don't like it. But what if you were to say, take this, instead of making background color of the sidebar blue, what if you made this more of an accent? So you made the sidebar that beige-ish color, and you made the background of the page just more white, right? And white may not be the right color. Maybe it needs to be a tiny bit darker than white, but even if it's just slightly like that, like, is that easier to read? And you still have your background color. Yeah, it could be exactly like Janae said, it could be the background color as well, or the button color, right? So you could take that same color and make it the color for the upgrade if you wanted to, right? So there's a couple different ways that you could play around with it. It does, just because it's part of your brand doesn't mean it has to be a core piece of it, unless it does. I'd be interested to. What's your website? What's the URL for your website? How many more questions are there, Heather?
We have two, but one of them I don't think we can answer because they're not on the call.
Okay.
And the other one is very short.
Okay. What's the Sarah, would you drop your, like, do you have a BCA website? Yeah, that's not quite where I was headed. I was wondering if, oh, here. What if we were to take this image and made it your dashboard background? But with a pretty significant overlay. It was kind of like that. So there's a little bit of texture back there as you're scrolling. What do you think of something like that? It looks red. You thinking about this over there? And maybe you need to. You don't have to say that just for any particular reason. If you don't like it, then I'm not I'm not married to any of this. But I see what you're saying. Like maybe this dark area, it has like a little bit of a red tinge to it. I don't know why that is, because it's just blue with white over top of it. It shouldn't have any red to it. But I wonder, yeah, I think that's interesting, personally, to my eyes. Anyway, again, you may hate it. If you do, I'm sorry. It's the danger of asking for advice without a microphone. I can just go hog wild. All right. What's the next question, Heather?
So Bez asked, I think this had to do with some of the questions before, but if like Go High Level, ConvertKit, or other CRMs might have problems, what's a decent backup or contingency plan so we're not rebuilding manually during our event? Is Zapier a good solution, or do you have any thoughts on that?
My thoughts on it are I almost never have a backup in place during an event. And I think that is not worth the effort. I know that we have seen some quirks, I'll just call it that, in Obvio data over the last 10 days or so. And you should start to see those quirks dissipate. It's a result of us having made a pretty major data change that will allow for additional scalability on the platform, and in the long run, additional stability on the platform. But as a result of it, because we changed where we save data and how we save that data, there have been some interesting quirks, and little bugs that have popped up that weren't there before. And some of that is a part of the integration, because the data that we are changing is attendee data. So it's definitely been a source of headaches for the last couple of weeks at very least. But hopefully you'll stop seeing that.
Great. And we had one more question, but I think we'll save this for next week, because I think that we would need this person on there because she wants to get help connecting a camera and a microphone. But you may be able to answer this part. She said, do I actually need a website, or is Obvio or a Facebook group enough?
I think a lot of people, I think you probably need a website. I'm definitely not a proponent of a website being terribly important. Especially given the fact that we essentially at Sage had, and you'll remember this, Heather, I built a website in 2012 and it didn't actually get changed until, I don't know, 2023.
Oh, you changed it?
We did recently change it. It now actually references virtual events, because we felt like that was important. Fabienne Fredrickson is no longer on it. She hasn't been a client in like 8 years. So felt like it was time to take her off. But yeah, I'm definitely not a huge proponent of thinking that a website is a critical piece. But it's a calling card. Or a business card. So I do think that a little bit of time is good to spend on it, but having a dashboard for your event, a sales page for the offer you're going to make from it, and a sign up page for your event are all more important, I think anyway, than the website that you choose. We don't spend, I spend 1,000 times more, quite literally 1,000 times more time working on opt-in pages and sales pages for our company than I do for our website.
Awesome. That's all.
When do we get an Obvio website? Good call. You know, there's one that's actually been designed. I have to write some copy for it. I'm stuck on that. All right, guys. Well, listen, thanks for hanging out. I know this was a little bit of a longer call, but hopefully you got some questions answered that were important for you. And remember, you can reach out via the chat in the application between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. You can also reach us by going to help at or emailing help@obv.io. And you can also go to the Facebook group and post your questions there. All good resources in between these calls. You don't have to wait until this call to get your questions answered. Thanks for being here, guys, and we will see you all next week. Bye.